Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Keeping It Blunt podcast. Oh, my phone just started ringing.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Keeping It Blunt podcast. If it's not welcome back, then welcome, and please do feel free to click the little red subscribe button if you're here on YouTube. Hopefully, within the next week, this will be up on all the audio platforms as well. So follow us or whatever you have to do on those platforms. I don't really know how they work.
Follow us on Instagram.
Graham's just going to keep shouting, follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just a couple of other things. Thank you again for all the support over the first couple of episodes that we've done. Um, just a quick thing for we've got a lot of feedback in our like private DMs and like through our WhatsApp and whatever. We'd really appreciate it if you could put those comments on the channel, just because any traffic that comes through the channel really does help more than you think. Every little comment, every like, every response to the Instagram, it boosts the page and helps us reach
Yeah.
a wider audience. Um, yeah.
Yeah, engagement helps. It also gives us an idea of what you guys want to hear coming
Yes,
going
that's another
forward.
thing. Because like for
We've
this
got
episode, we got a lot of
thankfully we've
suggestions.
got a lot of feedback from Dane's private. Dane put out something privately on his Instagram. We got a lot of feedback there. Some really exciting topics. I think we're going to talk about in the future.
Yeah.
Some controversial, maybe depending on which way we go. But I think it will be quite. I'm quite keen to not only talk about it but just dive deeper into each of the topics. I think that's even with today's topic, it was quite interesting just doing a bit of research about it and
Yeah.
actually trying to be informed before forming an opinion, which I think is quite rare these days. So
Yeah, no,
we'll
we
give
don't
it our
want to
best
just be
shot.
those guys that just throw our opinions onto the internet with no backing at all.
I mean, we
Um,
will do that,
yeah,
but
well,
they'll be
don't
informed
take us wrong.
opinions.
There is a disclaimer in all of the things not to take us seriously under any circumstances, but
Yeah,
we will try not to just talk absolute shit. It's not our main
that's
goal,
the goal. I mean,
especially when we touch on more serious
so
topics.
yeah, definitely.
Anyway, Graham, do you want to tell us what
So
we're talking about today?
yes, we did. I think, like I said, we had to research this one because I think it's quite topical. It's something that's going around the news at the moment. It's the whole situation with WhatsApp and their updates to their privacy. I don't know what privacy situation.
Privacy
That's the
policy,
best
yeah.
term. Yeah, let's go with that one. Do you know what has changed?
From the little bit of research I did, it looks just like they're sharing their information with Facebook, which I thought they were doing
Yeah,
anyway, personally. I
yeah.
wasn't,
Well, I mean,
yeah. I mean, every time you open
realistically,
WhatsApp, it says Facebook at the bottom, so I just kind of assumed that
yeah.
it was all,
So basically, I think Facebook acquired WhatsApp a few years ago,
hmm,
and I think now they've, from what I can tell, reading up on it, there's been subtle changes throughout the years, and it's kind of like this is culmination of Facebook finally trying to get the return on the investment from buying WhatsApp, because I mean, what do you pay for on WhatsApp? Nothing.
nothing,
So
literally
Facebook have
nothing.
to get money somehow. Which brings us to what the privacy policy and what's changed. Like you rightly said, it is basically just information sharing and the use of the Facebook servers, which sounds like nothing, but I think once you break it down, I mean, in my opinion, it is nothing to be alarmed about. Once having read all of the stuff I've read on it,
Yeah,
I
I mean, if
wouldn't
you
be
look
too
at
alarmed.
Facebook or Twitter at the moment, everyone's saying they're going to jump ship and go to Telegram and all these other things.
Yeah,
But if you
I
actually
mean, I
look
think we'll,
into what's changed, it seems like a bit of a people just aren't doing their research. They're just jumping ship for no reason, as
yeah.
far as I'm concerned.
Well, I think there's no better way than to just get into it. And
Yeah,
like we said, it's just been a slight change into what they're sharing with it. Well, not what they're sharing, is that they're just sharing now in general. And I think we'll just go through what they're sharing, what it actually means, and then trying to dumb it down so that everyone can kind of get an idea of what's going on, even if you're not tech savvy or there's a because that's the problem. The WhatsApp privacy policy is written with a great like a lot of legal words and
yeah. I mean,
terms,
if you
and
had to
it's
read it,
really convoluted. And
all
I
these
mean, if
privacy
put it
policies are
this way, if
like that,
you're
though. I mean, who
yeah,
actually
I mean,
reads
if
terms
your
of
first
service
language
when they ticket?
Yeah, if
No.
your first language isn't English and you have to read the English privacy policy, you will be buggered. I mean, I speak English and I was buggered, had to have some stuff explained to me. So I think it's
Yeah.
especially like explaining to, I mean, I think we've got quite a relative, I mean, our audience is probably in our age demographic who will probably
Yeah.
be fine with understanding what's going on, but maybe their parents, grandparents are a bit iffy. So bringing it down to a very simple level might be quite beneficial.
Mm.
Um, so I think just jumping right into it, the information that they're sharing or storing, there's all fears that it's going to be like really hectic private information like bank details and reading your chats, and ultimately that's just not true.
Yeah, as far
I
as
mean,
I've,
it's
from what I've read, our messages between each other, our group chats, all of that is still encrypted. It's still got end-to-end encryption.
yeah,
So
no,
it's
it's
not,
very
it's not
encrypted.
like they can see everything. It's more, I think from what I read, it's just for advertising purposes. They're just going to pick up on some key terms that come up
Well,
frequently.
I'll tell you. Okay, so basically, I'll tell you. I read an article from it's on Business Tech. It was the article I read that breaks it down really well, and I've just like summarized it a bit here. Basically, they won't be saving messages.
So they're not
Not
saving
so like
anything.
not even not saving messages. So basically, the one. So if I send you a message on WhatsApp, once it's delivered to you, the only place that message is saved is my phone and your phone.
Okay.
That's it. They don't store any messages on their servers,
Well, that's
according
good.
to their. I mean, there's literally an excerpt from their privacy policy explicitly stating that. So
So
there's
the
that.
fears of all of our private messages being stored somewhere on some computer where people are going through it, checking everything, that's just
Yes,
not true.
it's
Okay.
just not true. And even if these messages were stored somewhere and there was someone trying to go through them, it's like we discussed earlier, there
They're still
is that
encrypted.
end-to-end encryption.
Yeah.
So what, not even WhatsApp or any other third parties can access that information without the encryption key, which that's another kettle of fish and how you decrypt things. So
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know how to
um,
start doing that.
that they can't decrypt the contents of your profile, so your messages, your call logs, your photos that are sent to you, they can't get their hands on those.
So your nudes are
But
safe,
what they
ladies and
can,
gents.
yeah, but what they can access is your IP address, your profile picture,
Okay.
your status updates, and your user contact information.
So the public stuff
Um,
anyway.
oh, and also metadata, which is basically who you're messaging, um, how like when you're messaging that person and how long you've been messaging that person. That's pretty much all that
So
they can actually access.
basically, they can just see your public profile. So they can see your phone
Yeah,
number because obviously you register that, your name, your profile picture, all the stuff you
yeah.
put up for public
I mean,
consumption
and that
anyway.
being said, if you've got a Facebook, if you've got a Facebook account,
They've
they've
got all
probably
of
got
that
your phone
anyway.
number anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, I
I mean, yeah,
mean,
when all of this
it's
came out,
basically just
my first reaction was, well, as soon as I put my details into Facebook and Instagram and all that, I kind of just signed away my privacy anyway. I mean,
yeah.
realistically, if
I
you've
mean,
got
that's
a footprint on the a digital footprint, I think they call it. I mean, complaining about an update to WhatsApp's privacy policy, you just look a bit naive, in my opinion. Um,
I mean, and also, when was the last time you actually read the terms and conditions of any website
yeah,
or any?
exactly. It's just because it's been
You
updated
can't.
and they say, oh, we're sharing it with Facebook, everyone gets all
I
defensive
think it's
without
just
actually knowing what's going on.
I think yeah, it also comes down to just media hysteria and just trying to sensationalize a lot of things. Like
We haven't seen any
it's
of that
it's
recently, have we?
no, well, I mean, it's clickbait to the max basically. Any
Yeah.
if you put I think if you put WhatsApp in any article title at the moment, I mean, for me to
I
find
mean,
these articles that we read, I mean, we're doing it, we're talking about
yeah,
it,
we
we're guilty,
literally,
we're
that was one
guilty.
of our suggestions. Our friend Ryan just said the thing. He was like, yo, this WhatsApp thing is a pretty relevant topic. It'll probably get
Yeah,
some good traffic. So we were like, you know what,
yeah. I
Ryan,
mean,
thank you. Yeah, so Ryan, if you're watching, shot bro, we appreciate
thanks. Yeah.
it.
But it's shameless, we admit, but it's also
Uh,
it's informative. We're trying to help the people.
we
But I
are all
mean,
about the people at
so,
the
so
end of the day.
to simply find, I mean, the articles, I think I've summarized about 4 articles that are the 4 that I thought were major out of all the ones I read. To find them, I literally just searched WhatsApp
You didn't even type privacy
and
policy or anything, just
nothing,
WhatsApp.
just searched WhatsApp, and
Yeah,
literally
I
there was
searched
just a
privacy
plethora
policy
of
afterwards,
articles.
and there was just hundreds of articles as well,
Yeah,
videos.
I mean,
There's so much.
if you really do have the time and are very intrigued with the WhatsApp privacy policy, and we've inspired you after this podcast, I mean, there's a lot to read out there.
Yeah, and we definitely didn't
But
read half of it. But I'm gonna be perfect.
no,
I read like 2 articles and just had a
yeah,
little
I think I
skim
did. I
through
think I
the
did about
actual
4 or 5.
policy just to kind of figure it out. But they all seem to say pretty much the same thing.
They all, yeah, that's the thing, is they all very much write the same stuff. So, um, it is very much because once you've seen one, you've seen them all. But I did think it was necessary to spread us out a bit. That's
Yeah,
why I have
I mean,
summarized
you
a
said
few of
that
them.
business tech, you found the one that was a little bit more informative than the rest, which we touched on
Yeah,
already.
business tech was very good. Then there were 2 by Times Live that were
Yeah,
the
I read
one by
one by
Times Live I'll
Times
talk
Live.
about
Yeah,
in a minute. It was quite. It's more the one I'll talk about from Times Live is more for um reassurance than actual information. So I'll get to that in a second. But
cool. Sorry,
back
carry on.
to the information they're using and the changes to the policy basically is it's just changing how they're going to be using this information. So I think it's basically, I mean, nobody's WhatsApp haven't been slick about this. The end goal is advertising. Like
Yeah,
that's the only way Facebook can get any benefit from having WhatsApp as a platform, is by being able to advertise directly to its users. It's
yeah.
that simple. Which, I mean, how many times haven't you been talking about something or messaging someone about something, and then hop on Instagram and there's an
There's
advert
an
again?
advert for it. Yeah,
Or you look, I mean, I know now, moving into a new place, I'm searching furniture bit. All of my Instagram ads, it's just furniture stores,
furniture.
bed stores.
Yeah, I mean, like
It,
I was looking for a capture card for my stream, and literally
yeah,
since then, I spent one day looking at it. I ordered, figured out which one I wanted, ordered it. I'm still getting ads for capture cards.
yeah.
Tapped in microphones
I
on
mean,
Takealot one time. Microphones. It's all I see now.
if
Microphones
I
and
have to
capture
see
cards.
another, I think if I have to see another advert for a bookcase, I might just throw my phone out the window, because there are only so many bookshelves and bookcases you can look at before you've
Hmm.
seen them all. Um, so yeah, it's advertising, which is what Facebook wants WhatsApp for. And I think the change is coming now because it was 2018, I believe, that Facebook introduced the WhatsApp business
Yes.
division of WhatsApp, which I'm not too clued up on, but from
I
what
was
I
gonna
can
say I
gather,
actually completely forgot about that part of WhatsApp.
it's basic. What I can gather, it's basically just a way for you as a customer to. It's on borderline like an online store, but I don't think you can actually transact on it. I think
Okay.
you can inquire and basically get quoted. Um, like I know, like I said, I'm moving to a new place, and like even one of my estate agents had all of his listings on his WhatsApp account, which I
Okay.
thought was quite,
So
it was
what
quite.
when you have his contact and you open it to
And
send
I
him a
went into
message,
his
does it?
profile. I went into his
Oh, it's
profile. I was
like
looking at his profile
into his
picture,
actual
and it
profile.
had just had all his listings underneath there. So I think
Okay, I didn't know that.
so.
That's cool.
That's the so the introduction of WhatsApp Business 2 years ago kind of necessitated this change in privacy policy, because
I mean, you
all it's
forget that yeah,
all so
WhatsApp's bigger than just a bunch of people communicating. There's like
yeah,
it has taken over business as well as a form of communication,
yeah.
as a form of calling.
So
That is the future. It's online.
yeah, no, it's definitely. I mean, like I found with the estate, I'll bring it back to finding a new place to live. With the estate agents, it was so much easier to just WhatsApp them than it was to just phone them, because I mean, I phoned an estate agent, asked them about a particular place, and they told me it was still available, and they took me to the wrong flat because they didn't know which, like, they misunderstood which one I was talking about. Whereas, so thereafter, I literally just copied the link, of the place I liked, sent it to the estate agent. I was like, "Is this place still available?" And that's how. I
I
mean,
mean, in a
all of my
way,
dealings with estate agents has all been WhatsApp. It was so much more efficient than actually calling and speaking to someone.
it's
And
just
going,
taking over email.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's taking over email and it's real time because that was my biggest gripe. It's my biggest gripe with looking for a place to stay was how there's places listed on all these property websites, and then you inquire about them and they're unavailable, but just haven't been taken off the website yet.
Yeah, I
Whereas
mean, we're on
WhatsApp is
WhatsApp.
immediate. If if they tell me they've got a place listed, then I know I'm in the game. So
And I'm
that's
assuming the
WhatsApp is
fact
way more
that,
than just group chats and memes. Like
yeah.
it's a lot of people's lifelines.
I think also the fact that WhatsApp's now owned by Facebook and Instagram's owned by Facebook, like the ability to link those three accounts probably also adds to that real time. So you take a listing down off one platform and it'll take it down off
Yeah,
all three. So whereas before that, when it comes to normal web-based, like on a website, you've got to like now go into the website and take it
yeah,
down. Whereas now you're not necessarily advertising on a specific website. You've just got it across your social media platforms, and you
yeah,
take it down from one, and it comes down from all the others. You put it up on one, it goes up on all the others. That
yeah.
real-time
Well, I mean,
synchronization is
yeah.
a
Well,
game changer.
that's actually quite a brilliant point because that integration is the main reason for why this privacy
Yes,
policy has been
I'm sure.
updated. So we spoke about how they can't, WhatsApp can't check your chats. It can't view them. But if you and I are talking, I have every right to see that conversation because it's on my
Yeah,
side of
you're
the.
also you're part of the conversation.
It's so basically it's the same with businesses. If like I said, you can interact with these businesses on their WhatsApp accounts. Any interaction you have with them, they are now party to, and they can store that information how they like. All that's happening now is that WhatsApp is now able to use the other Facebook owned, like you said, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. They can now take what you've spoken to this business about and use that to personalize adverts on their other platforms,
Hmm.
if that makes
So
sense.
yeah, realistically, from what I saw as well, it all boils down to more targeted adverts, which
Yes,
you like it, you
and
don't like it. It is what's going to happen. You think they're listening
it
to you.
sounds dodgy that
They don't
it sounds
actually
dodgy
care
that
about
they
your daily life, I don't think. But they just
no
try to. At the end of the day, I've been looking into social media marketing a bit recently, and at the end of the day, it's just helping businesses, especially smaller
no
businesses,
that's yeah
target their audience that
that's
they're going for.
that's the end goal is it's all business. And
Hmm.
I mean it sounds dodgy to say that these businesses can now use your chats you've had with them to target advertising, but I mean I know, like, you were chatting to me about wanting a capture card for a while. There was
Hmm.
nothing in the world stopping me from sending you like Amazon links every day to a particular to or like sending you Takealot links to capture cards. Like, there's nothing stopping me from doing it because you and I were both part of that conversation. It's the same with
Yeah.
these businesses and their
Yeah.
WhatsApp accounts. But that being said, when you are interacting with this account, it does tell you, listen, this is a business account. And then
Yes,
you
it
can
says
just,
that right at the top, like as you open the chat,
yeah,
where it says that
you can
end-to-end
just back
encryption.
out. Yeah,
So
you can just leave.
is it only with the business accounts that it's sharing with Facebook, or is it also with private?
It's 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 only the business. It's only that particular businesses. They're not sharing it. It's storing it on their servers and then
Yeah.
allowing that information. So let's say, for example, McDonald's. Okay, I don't know if they've got a WhatsApp account. Let's just say they do.
So they do, yeah.
Every every single person that chats to McDonald's on WhatsApp, McDonald's will be able to store those conversations, but
Okay.
only the conversations they've had with McDonald's, if that
Okay, so
makes
they
sense.
can't get that person's conversation with their husband or their wife or their son
No,
or their friend.
it's
So it's
only
just
from
the
that
direct
particular
so
channel.
basically it would be like if you had an email conversation with McDonald's, they can store all of that
Got that
email
paper trail. Yeah, they
conversation.
can store. Yeah,
It's just a little bit more streamlined keeping it within the Facebook
Just like
brand.
how every conversation you and I have ever had is stored on my phone.
Yes.
But can you imagine now trying to store every conversation that is had with a multi-billion rand company? Like, that's
Yeah.
why they need the Facebook servers, because
Facebook has
Facebook's
big
massive.
servers. 2 billion odd
Literally.
2.2 billion users, I think it is at the moment. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think WhatsApp's 2 billion users.
Really? Let's pull
So
up the stats.
so
Hang on.
basically, yeah,
Well, keep talking.
I
I'll
think
pull it up
what
while you talk.
I think WhatsApp's 2 billion. But I mean, so it's all fair and well knowing what they're going to share and knowing how it affects you, because I think that's basically what we've gone through now, is what they can actually get hold of and what they're able to share. But another thing we need to remember as South Africans is the POPI Act, which is the Protection of Personal Information Act,
Okay.
and that was the Times Live
Article.
article that I was read about, that I wanted to speak about, where I said it offers more reassurance and information. It's literally a 1 minute article, but in summary, all it says is that the information regulators in South Africa are analyzing the privacy policy agreement with WhatsApp to make sure
Okay, so
it's
they
fully
wouldn't,
compliant with.
if it went against the
If
legal
it went
things in South
against the
Africa,
POPI Act,
then WhatsApp wouldn't
we would
be
probably,
activated in South Africa.
yeah,
It would just
yeah, literally.
cease to exist.
Well, they might have to amend it to
Or
suit
there would
us,
be like a specific South African WhatsApp kind of
or
thing.
they would, or they could. I mean, drastically, they would just say, okay, cheers, you can't use it in South Africa. Full
Yes,
stop.
yeah, that's what I said to start with.
But I mean, I doubt that would happen. I back the lawyers at WhatsApp who wrote this thing up to, like, not. I mean, a lot of our law and acts and legislation are all very loosely borrowed from European countries. So I think if it's compliant, so basically WhatsApp have got different terms of use for European countries and then countries outside of Europe. So we
Okay.
obviously fallen outside
Outside
Europe.
of
So
Europe.
I think they'll be wide enough that they'll be able to get around. I'll say get around our POPI Act, but be more compliant with our protection of personal information. So that's another why I say it offers reassurance, is that our government's aware of our rights as people. It's not just going to let
They're
something
not
like
just
this
going to
just slide.
let an app that most of the population uses
Yeah,
take all of our information and all of our bank
yeah,
details and private lives and keep it on a cloud somewhere. Okay, so back
yeah.
to
That's
the
the
stats quickly, just so we can move on from that. Facebook has 2.6 billion monthly active users, and WhatsApp had nearly 2 billion monthly active users. This was middle of last year. So it's probably over 2 billion on WhatsApp
it's a
now.
lot.
It's
It's a lot of people,
a hell of a lot of people. So
and yeah,
you
it's a
can
lot of
understand why they'd want to have access to the
yeah.
information.
No, of course, it's something that you definitely. I mean, if you're Zuckerberg and you're seeing all those users, you just seeing dollar signs, really.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
exactly.
and I mean that's unfortunately the only reason it's happening.
Because if you break
Is
down
they just want
Facebook's business model, they don't make money from their users. It's a free
users.
account.
No,
WhatsApp's a
exactly.
free account. Instagram's a free account. So the
Yeah,
money they make is from businesses paying to advertise on their platforms. And
yeah,
Facebook's marketing is notoriously very good at targeting sort of niche groups of the population
yeah.
to
Well,
the sort of stuff that they're interested in. Because
based on
realistically,
analytics and all that good stuff.
yeah, I mean, I went and unlocked all the pages that I liked on Facebook the other day just because, I mean, I don't go on Facebook anymore. And like, there was all that
Dude,
crap that
I
you
don't even
liked
have the app on
in
my
like
phone
high
anymore.
school and stuff. Like, but when you download Facebook, the first thing they like is what are you interested in? And it's like, okay, this sports team, this music
And
band, whatever.
as you
And
click more, they just suggest more and more and more and
yes,
more.
exactly. So you're giving them information anyway.
Yeah, it's a
You've
scary
already
rabbit
given
hole you don't really
Facebook
want to
all
go
the
into.
information that they need really. This is just helping them target ads so that realistically it's also going to benefit you because you might get adverts for things that you might not have previously thought you needed, and you'll see something pop up that you
And then
didn't
you
know
see it and
existed,
you need
and
it.
you're like, whoa, that's a really cool thing, and put that in the pipeline to get in a couple of months' time.
Yeah.
So you can see it in one of two ways. You can see it in the sort of naive way that, oh, Mark Zuckerberg wants to take all our information, and someone's sitting on a computer in America and they've got access to all of our bank details and they know all of our personal lives. Or you can be realistic about it. A, they don't care. B, they actually don't have access to that kind of information, as we've spoken about now. That's just sort of what the layman would post on their Facebook when they see that the privacy policy is changing. And C, you can actually just see it as a pro that you're now going to get more targeted ads. You're going to see less adverts of things that you don't actually have any interest in, and more adverts of things that you do have an interest in and might actually come in useful.
And what we can say is sharing those stupid messages that you don't consent to your privacy policy and all that crap, it doesn't help.
No, not at all. I mean, it is what it is. And I think that kind of leads us on to the you said you had that opinion piece, so you can complain
Oh
about
yeah,
the
so
privacy
a
policy. Wait, wait,
friend
wait,
of a
wait,
friend
wait, wait,
of
wait,
ours,
wait, 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 wait,
yeah,
wait. So, so you can complain about them changing the privacy policy, but at the end of the day, what's it, the 8th of Feb? If you haven't agreed
yeah,
to the new privacy policy, you can't use the service anymore. And you can say, oh, we're going to jump ship to Telegram or what are all these other
Signal.
platforms. Have you read their privacy policies? Do you know who they're sharing their information with? Um, yeah, I mean, Graham, yeah. Let's
Yeah,
go.
so
So,
um, a friend of mine sent me an opinion piece that a friend of his wrote, and basically, uh, it it basically outlines what we've already spoken about, and then offers up the alternatives which are going around at the moment, which are Signal and Telegram. Based on what I read there, Telegram has actually got a worse privacy policy than WhatsApp because they do not have end-to-end encryption on their chats and everything. So the chats are not encrypted.
so Telegram can
They,
read the messages you send to each other
yeah, I would hesitate to say that, but without the end-to-end
from
encryption,
our
there's no way of,
yeah.
yeah, without the encryption, there's no way of saying that they can't, if that makes sense.
Okay, so it's
There's no
not
way,
that
we
they
can't
are
just
sitting there
say they
reading it,
can,
but we also can't say
but
that they can't read it.
there's nothing stopping them because it's not encrypted.
Okay,
And then they also their their software isn't freely available and isn't, so you can't actually see the coding behind Telegram.
okay,
And it's not audited as much, like the coding and everything isn't actually audited as much. I think the best alternative is actually Signal because it's very open source. Its coding is freely available, anybody can view it, and it's very regularly audited to ensure that it is what it says it is. I
okay.
didn't see too much on their privacy policy,
See, I
but
haven't
I
heard
think
much about Signal at all.
no, well, it's what I did see is that it's created by a non-profit organization in America, so that's always
Okay,
helpful.
so
But I mean, it's
so
I'm
wait,
hesitant about this.
a
Yeah, carry on.
non-profit organization has just made a message. What else do they do
I, I,
that they
I
can?
don't know. I don't know. I could be mistaken. I don't know if they necessarily are a non-profit organization. I think it
Hmm,
was a case of Signal's just an open source app created by someone, but not necessarily for profit.
okay,
You know what I mean?
Signal. I'm just gonna have a quick squeeze, but yeah, keep talking about that.
So, I mean, I think I wanted. We did get a few opinions of some of our followers, but I think before I jump into those, um, I think the best way to actually summarize this and to talk about the alternatives, there was an article I read on iol.co.za written by someone by the name of Sam Wright, is the author of that article. And they basically, the article is titled How to Explain, or
Oh, yeah,
paraphrasing
I
the
read this
title a
one as
bit.
well.
how to explain the new WhatsApp privacy policy to your mom. And it's a brilliant read. It'll take you like 2-3 minutes, but I will just go through what it is. Basically, they use the analogy of uh, Woolworths. So you can look at it as Woolworths head office is Facebook. When you go to Woolworths at your local Woolworths, wherever you go, and you swipe your loyalty card and then you pay for your things, that Woolworths head office, they can see where you're shopping, they can see what you've bought, and they can see how much you've spent and
It's a
how
good
regularly you
analogy.
spend it. Because you're giving them all that information. When you sign up for that loyalty program, you give yourself a number, email address, physical address, ID number. That's all there.
I mean,
So,
yeah, our information is
and then,
everywhere
but
already.
continuing with the Woolworths analogy, you go, you swipe your loyalty card, you pay for your groceries. While you're paying, you strike up a conversation with the cashier, talk about how the weather is, you know, how COVID's treating people. Have you been infected? Have you been in contact with anyone? Do you know anybody that's been affected? Blah, blah, blah. All that good stuff, just general small talk. Now, bringing it back to why you can use this to compare to WhatsApp. Just like how you can have that conversation with the cashier in Woolworths, in your local Woolworths shop. Head office cannot hear a single word you've just said to that cashier. They don't care. They don't know what you've said.
Yeah,
That's exactly what's going on. You and I can have a conversation on WhatsApp. No one cares.
they don't
But if I
care.
talk to a business on WhatsApp, they want to know how often am I inquiring about beds? How often am I inquiring about a mattress or a bedside table, furniture? They can see that. They can see where I'm inquiring from and basically just target your ads in that way. So just how you'll find that Woolworths will send you personalized promotions based on your purchase history. Just
That's a
that's
brilliant
literally what's going to be
analogy.
happening.
It really is a brilliant analogy.
Yeah. Kudos to Sam Wright,
Yeah,
the writer of that
that's a banger.
article.
Um,
They've done themselves proud there.
yeah, so basically, it's nothing to worry about for the personal user that's using it to talk to their mates and to their family. If anything, you should be more worried about Telegram, which is the big one I've seen a lot of South Africans speaking about moving to,
Yeah.
because it's not
And
encrypted.
something.
I've just
Yeah.
seen Signal has got end-to-end encryption.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it is a
But
non-profit organization. I haven't read too
to
much into it,
yeah.
but I mean,
I mean,
a company as
yeah.
big
Go.
as WhatsApp isn't going to be able to, WhatsApp and Facebook, as much as the conspiracies fly around and whatever, a company that big that's involved with that many people is not going to be able to abuse its power because it will, like you
No,
touched on
not at all.
earlier, it's going to be audited heavily and regularly because they
I
are
mean, the
dealing with a lot of people, a lot of people's information. So they have to make
yeah.
sure
I
that
mean,
it's safe.
one of the reasons Zuckerberg's been in court for so long is because it's pretty much like super unconstitutional in America to monopolize anything. And they trying to take him to court because they're basically saying Facebook's a monopoly. Um, Again, I'm not, that's one of the reasons why I think he's there. I'm not too well versed on the whole Zuckerberg case. I'm not going to dive
Yeah.
into it deeper, but
Yeah, I
basically,
mean, that's another
like,
story for
like
another
it's the
time.
same thing with us and the Poppy Act. There are people on top of things to make sure that people don't get exploited.
Yes. And you'd like
But
to hope that those
talking about
people do
alternative,
their jobs. I mean, at the end of the day,
yeah,
we as
I
the
mean, you'd
people just
like to
have to
believe
trust
so.
that the people do their jobs, especially in those higher
In power are
positions.
doing what they're
Yeah.
supposed to be doing. But like you touched on alternatives there, just taking it back to the Woolworths analogy, um, you don't if you're not happy with giving them your information with that loyalty card business, A, you don't have to use it,
Yeah, no
or
one's
B, you
forcing you to use
can go
WhatsApp.
somewhere else. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No one's forcing you to use WhatsApp, but
It might be more
Pick n Pay
convenient,
and
but
they don't have
SMSs still
if you go
work.
to Pick n Pay if you go to Pick n Pay and they don't have the items you need in stock, ultimately you might have to find a way back at Woolworths. Just
Yeah.
like if you switch over to Signal and none
Your
of your
friends aren't
mates
there.
do,
You're
you're
gonna have
going
to
to
go
end up
back to
back on
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp because it's the only way you're going to be able to contact them conveniently I mean,
Yeah.
because trust me, you do not want to be the person that's not in the group chat.
I mean, remember like when BBM first came out and sort of started taking over Mixit, and then
Yeah,
like everyone just had to get a BlackBerry. Realistically,
yeah.
like I mean, they didn't have to, obviously, but that was where the
But it
demand
was
was.
just peer
That was
pressure
the way
and
people.
social
That was the way people
pressure was
communicated.
pushing it that way.
And then people first started getting Samsung, like the BlackBerry started not keeping up with like Android and Apple devices,
The
and
touch
then
screens, the touch screens started taking over.
yeah, I mean everyone had. I think I had WhatsApp up before I had BBM, so everyone sort of had WhatsApp still on their BlackBerries, but they didn't really use it until people
Used it
started
that much, yeah.
switching from BlackBerries. I think we were in like grade 9, so it was around 2013, is in my mind when people
Yeah,
started switching towards Android and Apple devices, and then you'd have to communicate
yeah,
with those people on WhatsApp, but you still had BBM for everyone else. And then eventually
yeah,
there was that push because so many people were still using BBM. There was the Apple and the Android app on for BBM,
yeah.
and essentially
And
it's
that
the
didn't
same
last
thing.
long.
And it didn't last very long because then BlackBerry completely fell off. Like as soon as you could
I
get
mean, that
BBM on an Android, everyone just got or an Android and Apple. Everyone just went to Android and Apple,
yeah.
and then everyone realized,
I
okay,
mean,
well now we don't need BBM, we've got WhatsApp.
that being said, WhatsApp could dive. I mean, everyone was big supporters of BBM, thinking that would never go anywhere, and
True,
then
true.
shit
But I do
changes.
think that there are a lot more users and have been using it for a lot longer than BBM. BBM was a flash in the pan. It lasted about
And
2, 3 years. WhatsApp's been going since
yeah,
before BBM and it's still going now with over 2 billion users.
yeah. I'm gonna jump the gun a bit here because it's was my first thought, but also a thought of one of our followers when I asked for some opinions, and that was just so. I'll read what he had to say, which is how funny would it be if Mark bought Telegram and all the other competitors, which was
I
my
mean,
first thought.
I
Zuckerberg could
wouldn't be
just swoop
surprised.
in and buy
Wouldn't be
it, and
surprised
then
in the slightest.
like he could literally just swoop and buy Signal, buy Telegram, game set
I
match.
mean, he bought Instagram and WhatsApp, two of the biggest social media platforms on the
Yeah,
planet. Do you really think
I
he's not
think
going to
he
buy a
bought.
small
I
little
think he
messaging service?
WhatsApp for just shy of $10 billion.
He's not scared
He
to.
is not letting that investment die very quickly.
And I
I'm
mean,
telling
we
you that
speak
much
about
right
it
now.
like it's him and only him
No, well,
making
it's
all these
Facebook. I
decisions
don't
as
even want
well.
to be involved
Yeah, I don't even know how much
in
decision
the
Mark
place.
Zuckerberg has in any of this. I think at this point, I'd be very surprised if Mark Zuckerberg was calling the shots on which companies
Well, let
Facebook
me check
buys.
what he. If I actually, I'm I'm interested in
Oh,
this sort of
videos
thing because
frozen. Um,
okay, I'm gonna look at Zuckerberg now. Okay, so he's the CEO of Facebook, which means
okay.
he is
He has
ultimately
he has the
very much.
final say, in
He
theory.
has no, not
Oh,
necessarily
not
the final
necessarily.
say, but
He's got a
he's
big say.
because a lot of that. Yeah, he's just. What I do want to find out is what his shareholding is in Facebook.
Okay, that would be very
So
interesting.
so he owns 22% and owns 57% of the voting shares. So he still does have a large say in what goes on at Facebook,
But
being
he's not the
CEO
only
and
one.
having.
But he is not the
He's
only
not the
one.
only one. I mean, he'll have a whole team of directors around him.
Yeah. That because at the end
He
of the day, he might
the
have
thing I
started the
think
service, but there will probably be people
yeah.
who are more clued up in how all the advertising and all of that works, and
I don't know,
they
100%.
advise him. And yeah,
There's there's a there was a study done not too long ago, and it was basically based on how starter run businesses are always more successful than businesses that take off and then get sold to bigger investors. So like there's a reason why Amazon, Windows,
Facebook, Apple.
Apple, Facebook, why they got so big is because the guys who started them just stuck around. I know Bill Gates doesn't have much more say in Microsoft at the moment.
But he's
He
still
still owns a
around.
shit ton, but he doesn't have. Actually, don't even think he owns that much. I think he only owns about a quarter of it, which is still a lot for a single person to hold in a multi-billion-dollar
I was
company.
going to say, yeah.
But I don't know
But he's not the
how
majority
deep he's
shareholder.
involved in operations. I mean, you know that I'm quite invested in the whole billionaire topic, whether it's whether it should happen or
Yeah,
not. But
like, are they actually even billionaires when all of their money's in
I mean,
shares?
Elon Musk overtook Jeff Bezos,
Hmm.
and the next day Tesla shares plummeted and he was second again. Their money's all made up. Their
Yeah,
money's all
it's
fake.
it's all
Like
it's all just a figure of our imagination on a computer screen
it's
at the
fake.
end of
It's
the
fake
day.
money. No one has the money. If they had to try cash out, the money would be worth about 10% of what it actually is.
Hmm. But as
I
a
mean,
number on a screen, they're billionaires.
yeah, because
And
if
I think
Elon
that's
Musk just
that is a big misconception that leads to the whole, oh,
yeah,
why aren't they helping people more? I mean, Elon Musk
they
also,
can't.
as much as he said, as much as his shares plummeted, he went into second. I saw as soon as he went top, he was like, yo, any suggestions on how I can donate to actually help? It's not actually as easy as everyone thinks it
He
is. Like
he
Elon
made a
Musk, I
five
love
million
how open he is about everything. Like he
he
said,
made a
listen,
donation today.
yeah, I saw that.
He made a $5 million donation to Khan Academy,
Yes, yes, that's the
who
one.
I,
Yeah.
I know Khan Academy well. They've done a lot of maths videos
Yeah,
in
I mean,
Matric, and
I saw Shamsi tweeted today about on the topic as well about YouTube sort of having a page like you've got YouTube Music, having sort of a YouTube education where you just sort of
they'll
set cordon off all the educational and like approve it and make sure that it is up to standard. Because realistically, bro,
see.
it's you can learn as much through Khan Academy as you can by going to school. You
No,
really can.
I get you. The thing is, YouTube will then it'll become a subscription based thing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
which
but
is
they can do that. Why?
cool because
YouTube
I
Music's a
mean, what's
subscription
YouTube?
basis,
What? Yeah, no, it is. It's like what 100 rand a month or something, or 30 rand a month.
70
It's
rand a
not.
month, I
It's not
think. Yeah, 70, 80
like
rand a month.
it's not that deep.
No, not at
Like
all.
real. I mean,
No, you don't
compared to
have to
what
make
you
it
pay.
free, but like,
No, no, no. I'm just. No, that was just me chucking that
hmm.
another like argument into it that it won't be free. It will be subscription based.
No, but it would probably work out a hell of a lot cheaper than your entire education career going to.
No, it
I
would.
mean, obviously, there's the
It would.
social aspect of school and university, which is irreplaceable
Yeah.
online. And I would like, as a social person myself, I would never want to have been a homeschooled through YouTube
No,
person.
no. I
But
can.
I
Yeah.
think having the availability there for the people who don't actually have access to schools but might
Yeah.
have access to the internet, it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Or I
it's
mean,
definitely I think the way the future's going.
even more so now with
Yes,
COVID times.
yeah,
Like,
because a lot of
I mean,
schools, a lot of teachers aren't
schools charging
prepared
school
to.
fees and all that. I mean, but not even that. Like, you think about kids who are bedridden with a lot of other more severe diseases, like kids suffering from cancer or kids
Mm,
that are paralyzed or that can't really live that regular school life. But you can still get them a pretty solid education from a
exactly.
computer.
And these days, you can work from a computer. You can make a living from a computer. I mean, more and more people are
Yeah,
doing it every day. The older generation might
I'm
say,
pretty
"Oh, it's not a
sure.
real job," but they're making millions and millions of dollars a
Dude, I
year
mean,
through their
I'm
computer.
pretty sure when I start working now at the end of the month, which is historically, I mean, society deems it a proper job.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I'm working remotely for
yeah. I mean,
quite a while at first.
if there's one thing that 2020 has changed, it's the perception of how much work can be done online, especially in the
Yeah.
sort of older generation, where they would have thought that there was no way you can't do this online. We have to meet in person. They're realizing that a simple email sometimes actually is all that needed to be done. Just tell people what the
Or
deal
just,
is.
I mean, phone. I mean,
A
I've had
little,
lecturers at varsity who they were happy to respond to emails, but a lot of the time, I mean, one of my lecturers in particular I would send him an email and he would just get back to me and say, listen, let's do a Zoom call or something because I would much rather explain this like
space,
that than
space,
over
yeah.
email. And I mean, I had one of our trainees phone me saying, listen, I'm going to just phone you and explain this concept because I can't get it across in an email. And
I mean,
that's,
the
I
tools
mean,
are available now. I
we're
mean,
doing this from opposite sides of Maritzburg right now.
and we could be
Yes, we
doing
had
it
our
from
hiccups.
opposite sides of the world.
Yeah, and we had our hiccups, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
It is what it is.
it is what it is.
So yeah, just for a bit of context, we tried to record this morning, or no, this afternoon at like
At
lunchtime.
2 o'clock this afternoon.
I think we ran the intro about 5 times, and things just
Yeah.
kept going wrong. Like our recording part wasn't working, so we found another way to
Basically,
record.
if you're
Then
seeing
microphones
this,
were crackling.
if you're seeing this, Dane still has a laptop and it's not sitting in his pool outside the
Yeah, no,
window.
geez, I just about threw this thing out the window. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway,
So,
let's get back on topic. So
well,
you got
we took a bit of a
some,
tangent there.
you got some responses on there
Some
for
users
on
submitted
your,
responses.
yes. Tell us more. Tell us more.
So,
What do our friends
I
say?
already spoke about the person who said
Yeah,
that it would be funny if Mark
Zuckerberg
bought the
just bought
competitors.
them all. Yeah,
Second one, everyone must stop being drama queens. The whole world is watching us already.
yes.
Which
That's
is
my
great.
logic. I mean,
I mean,
this you've
we
got a
touched on
digital
it earlier.
footprint. What difference does it make?
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it earlier. The whole thing about you chatting to someone about, are you ready to buy a capture card? And then the
Yeah.
next 5 minutes you're
I
getting
mean,
ads on
yeah,
your phone.
to start with, I hadn't even typed it in on my computer. I literally just said
Yeah,
it in real life. And that happened a lot at the commune when there were a whole bunch of us sitting around a table, English. Yeah, sitting
yeah,
around a table and we'd be talking about something and we'd all next thing go on our phones and get adverts for stuff. And it happens
yeah.
all the time. I know we're not the only
I
people
mean,
to experience it. These companies can deny it, but it happens.
yeah.
It happens.
I mean, there's also a reason why you go to a lecture hall and look at people with their laptops there, and I can guarantee at least 85% of those people have tape over their webcams.
Oh yeah,
Like, I mean, I normally do, but
yeah.
I'd have
I
to
mean,
take it off for this, obviously.
I did for a long time, but since I've started streaming and stuff, I just kind of got over it. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
you
mean,
know what,
yeah.
it is what it is.
Uh, I've got
Yeah,
another one here. Another comment. Basically, okay, it's nothing. It's basically just paparazzi, which it's fair enough. Like it's
clickbait media titles, nothing
yeah.
much has actually changed.
Um, Another one. It's too late to worry about that shit. If anyone was worried, they wouldn't have any socials from Facebook.
That's
So
what I was saying. Yeah,
that's that's basically the bottom line. Is if you were really that worried, you wouldn't have a Facebook account. You wouldn't have any media footprint whatsoever.
yeah. And
You
I
would be
mean, the
going
people
to
that
you.
are that worried don't use WhatsApp, and they won't be listening to this podcast anyway, because they
Yeah, and
like. I think a lot of people have just jumped on the bandwagon because it's a trending topic and it's something to throw your 5 cents with, and that's been a big
I mean,
that's the big
it's
problem.
literally
Problem
the
and
foundation of it.
yeah, it's a pro and a con of social media. Is everyone has an opinion as soon as something happens, whether it's a founded opinion or not. You
I
can't
mean,
control
yeah,
that.
and then everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Your opinion,
Accurate opinion
just
too.
because you're entitled to have your opinion, does not mean your opinion's right. Though I would like to put that out
Yes.
there.
No, I
Most of
mean,
what we've spoken about here are our opinions. Doesn't mean we're right.
yeah.
We're not saying that we know.
I mean,
We said at the beginning we don't know very much about this. This is just what we figured out in a couple of days.
like we said, we've started
We're
like
open to
5 articles.
correction, yeah. But at the end of the day, I think the big problem that we see on social media these days is everyone has been having their opinions validated and being told, yes, you're allowed an opinion, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you are. But not being open to other people's opinions just makes you look like a dick and makes you look
Yeah.
very stupid. Um, because your opinion's not always going to be right. If you think your opinion's always going to be right, well, I'm sorry, but you're not
You
going to
won't
go
use
very
them.
far in life because you're not going to learn from any
Yeah.
of your mistakes. So, I mean, I don't know how I managed to get to life lessons with Dane, but as if I'm anyone to speak right now. But anyway,
We've got two responses from the same person. Firstly, I feel like we need to sit down over a bottle of whiskey and discuss this. Yeah, chat to your friends, guys. Like, like, get educated. Hear some opinions of other people. It
hmm.
really is the best way to actually, but folk like call people out on their bullshit.
Yes, don't just let people's bullshit opinions slide. I mean,
Like, if
if you
some,
don't agree with
I've got a
someone,
really bad habit of
challenge
this, and
them
I'm
on
sure
it.
Dane can attest that if someone tells me something and I don't really agree with them, I'll look it up.
Yeah, that's not
You
a
know,
bad habit. I don't think
and
that's a bad habit at all. I think it's a
I,
brilliant
I
habit.
think I'm worried. I think it's quite a bad habit. It's not a bad habit now that I think about it, but I'm worried about how it makes me look as a person. It makes me seem like
Honestly,
I'm trying to be a bit of a know-it-all. But
no, but the
that's
thing
another kettle
is,
of fish.
like, I think at the end of the day, we have to keep learning. Otherwise, what the hell's the
Yeah, I've
point?
got an
Like, we've got
obsession
all
with
this
that, and
information at our fingertips. If someone says something that we
yeah,
don't agree with, go and do the research, figure it out, find out
I've
why they think that,
I've,
see whether they've got any
I've got an obsession
grounding.
with finding stuff out.
Yeah.
So
And I
much
mean,
so that
you and I both.
again, you,
Sorry, carry on.
go. So go.
Yeah, you and I
Okay,
both.
okay.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Go. Just go.
I was saying I've got an obsession with figuring stuff out,
Mm.
especially something like if I don't know about it, I want to know about it, and it's got to the point so much so now that if we're in a group setting and there's someone like me, there's a piece of information that needs to be known, and I'd say the answer, 90% of the people will disagree with me because I've built up that of just knowing, like I make sure that I know something before I
Mm.
say it, and I
Yeah.
think that's quite an important thing. Like I said, speak to your friends and discuss things, but
And yeah, and
back yourself and
if you don't know and you sprouting out your opinions and someone contests your opinion with facts and you still try and defend your opinion, you just make yourself look like a wally, I'm afraid. I don't know if
yeah,
you agree with me there.
and no, I agree
But
with you. And if
but
someone
also
is
don't just
going
back
to
down on your opinion. Don't just let someone say,
no
"Oh yeah, this is a fact." Like if you're gonna have a
fight their
conversation about an
facts,
opinion, like
cite their
actually
sources,
rather than maybe fight's the wrong word, just have an actual discussion about it. I think most of our audience is around our age. I think we old enough now to just we don't have to agree with everyone that we're friends with, but
yeah,
give each other the time of day to hear them out with regards to why they believe what they believe. I think that was a problem in our friend group for a while back in school. Was I'm always very much when I think something, I'm going to tell you everything that why I think it, and a lot of people take it as me just arguing, which it could be
yeah,
seen as, and I understand
no,
why it's
it
seen like
is.
that. But for me, I'm just trying to get across to the person I'm speaking to, like, look, I believe this. This is why I believe
Because of
this.
it,
If I'm wrong, these are the reasons why I believe it. Tell me why my logic is flawed. Please educate me. Like that's kind is almost like I'm opening myself up. I'm literally giving you my whole thought process to pick apart and tell me why I'm wrong. And people take that as me being
yeah,
an argumentative person. And as I explain that to people, people
I'll
do
take that as
understand
an
it.
invitation.
Hey, what did you
I'll take
say?
that as an invitation
Yeah, I mean, Graham and I,
to
especially once a
pick
couple of
apart
beers have
your
gone
entire
down, we
belief system.
can,
That's why we've been friends for.
yeah.
That's why we've been friends for so long.
Because, yeah, like I was going to say earlier, we both have this habit of playing devil's advocate. Even if we don't believe in something, we can still argue for it.
We all
I
play
mean,
devil's advocate on contrasting points in the same argument and still
yes,
get to different conclusions.
like we both agree on something, but then we'll be like, but hang on, let's actually think about the other side, and then we'll argue the other side.
Yeah,
Like I think it's healthy because you challenge your beliefs. You have to constantly challenge your beliefs. We're living in a world that changes so fast. If you think that
but I
something
mean,
that you learned
yeah,
5 years ago is still relevant today, hello, welcome
yeah.
to 2021. Things are
I mean,
changing every single day.
we've got a really intelligent audience, so I think we'll be fine.
Oh yeah,
Just
you're all a bunch of
educate
genia.
your
I
friends.
love you.
Please share, like, share, subscribe.
Yeah. Um, are there any more responses that
I've
you
got a
got?
couple more. Yeah, there's a couple more. So with the same person who told us to sit down with a bottle of whiskey, they then
I
said
think I
they need
know
to
who
do
that
some
is.
research first, which is fair enough. Like it follows on. Talk to your friends, but substantiate your opinions. If you're going
Hmm.
to form opinion, back it up.
Don't just throw your
If you're going to
opinions
try,
online when you've got no truth and
yeah,
basis. It just, and
and
that's
if you're going
why
to
I
tell
don't
someone it's
engage
a
in
fact,
debates on social media, just purely because
yeah,
everyone's just spitting their bullshit opinions with no facts to back it up. Like,
if you
yeah,
do, if you're going to say something's a fact, just back it up. Like keep the screenshots, have the links recorded.
yeah.
Like just if you're going to say it's a fact, just
Make sure it
and
is
if
a
you
fact, because a
yeah,
fact is a fact.
because
A fact
I know
isn't an opinion.
with my friends in particular, if you say something's a fact and it's wrong, they will repeat it straight. So
Yes.
just let it just be careful and but like just chat about things like challenge your friends' opinions. Have dialogue. Just
That's how you grow as a
enjoy.
person
Like
at the end of the
there's
day.
so much opportunity now with distant learning and
The
not
internet.
being able to see your friends in person, that you can just like talk about current events. Like, when was the last time you guys sat down and just spoke about the news?
Yeah,
Like,
but fuck the news. I'm not even. Let's steer clear of this topic for now.
um,
The news is another
no,
whole podcast episode.
yeah, no, we'll stick to user responses here.
Yes.
Next person said, "You tell me first." Fair enough. Listen to the podcast,
Yeah.
and you all know
Here we go.
everything I
You've
need
heard
to know.
everything we think.
You've heard everything that we wanted to tell you. Another response: nothing's private anymore. Personal conversations are no longer personal or private.
Which we
Um,
have debunked, according to what
yeah.
we've read. They are still private.
I'll agree on the privacy front, where there's not a lot that is greatly private anymore,
Hmm.
but you can still keep a lot of stuff personal.
Yes.
Personal conversations and private conversation rules. Put it this way: you're only as private as what you're prepared to put out there, or you're only as private as what you're prepared to keep hidden. If
Hmm.
you're going to put a lot out there, then your privacy is always going to be an issue, because there's a there's an old saying I heard that was basically, if you're not prepared to put it on a billboard in Santon, don't put it on Facebook.
Oh yeah. Jeez. I mean,
So
if you
I
put
mean,
stuff
like,
on the internet, it's there forever as well. Even if you delete
yeah,
it, it is there. Once you put it
it's-
on a public platform, those apps do then have access to it. It is
yeah,
on their servers, and they can access it and bring it up at any stage.
and they will bring it up when you become famous and
Yes.
have got some question tweets in the past.
Yes. Yes. And but WhatsApp's not the same as that.
No,
So, yeah.
WhatsApp is a very different situation, because
Indeed.
no, in a sense they do, because they have your status. They can have access to your
Yeah,
status,
so if
but
you
that's on a
constantly flogging stuff on your status, oh, your status is in like the story things on WhatsApp. Sorry, that went over my head
I
earlier.
would,
I'd
I think
assume
they
so.
refer to this. I think
Yeah,
that they don't recall. That's what they call their status, because
yeah, it is.
the because
Sorry,
if you
I was
go into
thinking
your own personal
status like
profile,
the.
it's not a status; it's an about.
Yes, okay, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
got,
So those stories that I never look at them personally. I mean, every
yeah,
freaking app you open these days just comes up with circles at the top. So, like
yeah,
one, I just go through
yeah.
Instagram and that's the ones that I watch.
That little second bar between your calls and your messages.
Yeah.
The one they
Okay.
can look at
So yeah,
that.
because
But
that obviously
again,
you're putting that for the public.
yeah, if you're putting it out there, yeah,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Just be careful with what you put out there.
And I mean that applies
Um,
for anything. Like be careful what you say as well, like you were saying earlier. Don't just say shit for the sake of saying shit.
yeah.
It's pretty
And
much as
then
simple as that.
second to last response, get over it. They can track you no matter what anyway.
Yeah.
That's
Pretty much.
that's just fact. Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. I mean, you have a cell phone,
You carry your
you're
cell
being
phone
tracked.
around all day, every
You've got a
day.
digital footprint.
Yeah.
Um, and last response, please tell me this is for the podcast. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. So if you guys do see more of these, we'll probably put them on myself, Danes, and the podcast channel alone.
Yeah,
But
well, we'll
the
always put it on the podcast channel first, and then if you
yeah,
dickheads just don't respond to the podcast channel, then we're gonna
yeah,
have to
we'll
resort
put
to
on
our
our
personal
personal
channel.
ones.
But like we said at the
But
beginning, please communicate with us through the
it's really fun
podcast
engaging with
channel.
people. Like,
Yeah,
we want to get the community involved.
we
We
want to
want to
grow this
feel
thing. We
like
don't want to. Yeah, we want this
it's
to
not
actually be
just
something
Dane
we
and
do every
I
day.
here. We've we've we want the following to be involved. We want you guys to have an
Hmm.
input in what you want us to discuss. Like I said, we got a lot of responses to Dane's private
Yeah,
um
yeah. There's some
where he
very
asked it.
interesting because obviously we said. I think we said it last week when Kieran quizzed us, and it's in the little clip that we posted.
Yeah,
Um, we're going to every second week's going to be a guest, and every second week's just going to be the two of us. It
sweet.
might
Oh, yeah.
shift later down the line, but for now we're going to stick to that sort of schedule. So
Put it
every
this way: you're
second
getting a
week,
podcast every week.
yeah, and every second week it's going to be the two of us talking about topics that you guys suggest to us. I mean, we thought of the
And
first one, and it was a bit repetitive, but
yeah,
now we're
we've
going to get you guys involved. We
yeah,
really do want to make a podcast that people want to listen to. We don't want to just like as much as we do love the sound of our own voices, we don't want it to just be us talking to each other. We want to
yeah.
talk to you guys.
It's
We want it to be a greater conversation than just the two of us.
yeah. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to just as much as we enjoy doing this, and we really do enjoy just sitting and chatting and catching up and
Mm.
debating these topics.
We want you
I,
to
for
enjoy it
one, enjoy.
too.
The thing is, I enjoy hearing other perspectives. I want to get other people's opinions. I want to get more ideas because I
Mm.
think, especially with the lockdown and everything, we're kind of stuck in a bit of a bubble. We don't get to
Yeah.
interact so much with people. So to do it digitally definitely does help a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know being on YouTube is quite difficult for people to watch us because it's like video is a bit heavy on the data. But like we said at the beginning of the podcast, we are hopefully going to be on all your audio platforms very, very
Within
soon.
yeah, within the next week, 2 weeks max, I'd
Yeah,
say. Yeah. We spoke
that's
about it the other day or yesterday. We've made our
put it this
commitments
way.
to each
The
other.
next
Now it's need to
episode will probably be, if you're listening to the next episode on Spotify, then we've done the things.
yeah. I mean, we'll upload all the first thing on Spotify as well. Spotify, Apple
Yeah,
Music,
nothing's gonna
podcast.
change.
I
It's
don't
still
know
gonna go on
all of them.
YouTube.
Yeah.
We'll still upload some clips from episodes maybe on YouTube.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I need to actually get better
Just to
at
get
doing those clips. I've got a couple more
I
from
think
Kieran's
yeah.
podcast that I need to upload.
So there's a lot coming from us. We're quite excited. Like
Indeed.
we've got a long list of guests we want to get on.
Yeah.
Um,
And we've
and
spoken to a few. And
we're
yeah, we
going
want to
to
slowly build up from our friends to maybe some more influential speakers in the country to, you never know, maybe one day we get a member of One Direction or
so
Justin Bieber or someone on the podcast. I mean, you never
get
know.
Uncle Cyril on ask when we can drink again.
Yeah. Play Tolak with Uncle Cyril.
Yeah, there you go.
Um, but yeah,
That's what
Graham,
you get.
is that all the responses? I think we can wrap it up
That
around that
was the
now.
last of the responses. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, guys, thank you again for coming through and watching and listening to us chat shit about WhatsApp. Um, please do let us know in the comments if there's anything specific you want to hear from us. You can DM us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram. The links for that will be in the
All gonna be in the
description.
description.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Cheers. Bye.
Thanks. Cheers. Bye. Yeah.